to be drafted, and I've heard two different kinds, and what I'm citing to you is that Patterson sent out an RFP. It does not mean that sending out an RFP means that you're changing your attorneys or you're not changing your attorneys. It means that you're trying to see what's out there, and you still have to strive for quality. It's just not who is somebody. I mean, there's a possibility that when we send this RFP out, we may have an attorney come in who's a couple of years out of law school, who will charge $50 an hour.
Liz, you always
So then what
speculate to
happens at that point is
That's
then
no
you say,
justification
is
for
that,
anti-union
and I am
actions.
being interrupted again.
Right.
So the bottom line is we have to be very selective because it's important to me, and I believe most of the members of this board, that we have quality services in the town for you as taxpayers. Because if you have to duplicate services, if you have to send somebody out over and over again to duplicate some kind of service, it's not cost effective, and you all know that. So just so that it's clear, that I will be preparing draft proposed RFPs that look to the various different types of, the supervisor wants one.
Thank you.
Sounds like Councilmember Yee wants two.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gross and Cullen are understandably silent about it. And at this point, that's what I'll do, and I will join in any motion
Okay.
or second it that defers this matter to the next
Okay, thanks, Liz.
meeting.
We had talked
You're
about this
welcome.
in October after we received the New York State Comptroller's report that demanded the inception of competition with respect to these issues and these expenditures. Prior to my departure to Scotland to go see my daughter in college in November, I did the three for engineering. We're still waiting on the one for the legal services from you, and I wondered at the time if you were going to drag your feet to continue this anti-competitive process. Looks like that's come to pass.
You did the engineer. I thought that Levon, were
I
you
did the
doing?
first draft, and I handed them off to
Oh,
Levon.
yeah, oh, okay. So now, why didn't you do the second and the third draft, or why didn't you finalize it then, Supervisor, instead of letting Levon do it?
Listen,
I know
Ms.
why I'd like Levon
Ms.
to do it,
Hudak-
because I think he's a quality guy and he does a good job.
Ms. Hudak, I
please
think
don't
also,
point
we're
to
also on, Mr. Supervisor, I think we're also under a time
Yes,
constraint to...
it's on point, Liz.
We're under
Go
a
ahead.
time constraint also to respond to the State Controller's report also, as far as to some of the deficiencies that were noted on that report, and that was to prepare these resolutions and get things out.
I think that
mean,
should
had
come out of
prepared
the
a res-
supervisor's
I-
office.
Excuse me, Ms. Hudak, please.
Oh.
So I had prepared a resolution to correct the deficiencies in the town clerk's office. It was passed by this town board. I'm asking, and the supervisor had prepared resolutions for engineering and other services. I would ask Ms. Hudak to move this along also because, like I said, we're under the time constraint and we need to answer the State Controller's report as far as what we on this town board is doing to correct the deficiencies.
I would ask all the council, town board members, let's say by, maybe by next week, to send their individual comments in regarding the report. Maybe that's how we can do it, since I believe that the response should emanate out of the supervisor's office. And also would encourage the supervisor to provide us some leadership and guidance by presenting his comments before next week. And that would be very helpful, because then we can have a cohesive
Sure.
response to the town comptroller.
My comments are on record. Like I said before, one line. If it has a town of Southeast, if it's a town of Southeast legal duty, it's handled under salary, like other communities, New York City and others,
Right.
practice.
I agree with you.
Now, let's move on. We'll defer that matter for future scheduled meeting. There are two additional new business matters. One is to defer the appointment of the newspaper, the official newspaper, to allow this board to promulgate and to issue an RFP, a request for proposal, or a public bidding process as may be determined by council.
I'll be willing to do the RFP. I'll work on it this week for next week.
Then I'll treat that as a motion for the deferral. I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I
Against?
make one request?
Against?
Since we do
Against?
have, I'm sorry.
All in favor, aye.
Okay, go ahead, Will.
Since we do have, in the interim before, while you're doing this RFP, we do have a requirement to publish in an official newspaper. So if you could make an interim appointment of some publication so that the planning board and my office knows where to send these things for publication.
Yep.
Well, I believe it's understood that the present newspapers will remain operative until they're
That's
replaced.
understood. That's,
Yeah, I think we need a resolution.
Well, I'll make it-
I would go along with making a motion
Right.
to retain the present publications from, that we voted on in 2010 as the official designated publications
Okay.
for the receipt of our legal
Okay. Is
notices.
there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Cullen seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion carries 4 votes to 1. There's a second matter regarding setting a public hearing for the revision of the town codes regarding parking fines, which we discussed earlier. So I move we set the public hearing on January 20 at the next scheduled voting session at 7:30 or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at this facility, 1360 Route 22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And I move we close the meeting, pardon me, I move we keep the meeting open, adjourn to executive session for discussion of litigation matters.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Folks, we're going to conclude the business portion tonight. We'll go into executive